Just to wait till we go through the, she said she would just as soon tell us what she needs to tell us and then move on down the road. So, Mary Ann, we appreciate you being here.
It's nice to see everybody. I hope you have a great meeting. I'm not going to stay for the entire one.
come to one end of the table, one end of the table and then speak. You're supposed to be able to speak for up to 3 minutes. I can extend that a little bit if necessary, but typically that's what we try to do, is do 3 minutes, and then that's it. And let us recognize you before you start talking too, though. So, and then let's see, address your questions and comments only to the chairman and not to a specific trustee or individual in the meeting, because we'll be here all night if we don't follow some of these general rules. The only other thing I would say, and it should go without having to be said, is that we need to conduct ourselves as appropriately as possible. So we don't need people getting real mad and stuff like that. And I guess we do audio record these meetings. You can also at any time reply or send a question to the district secretary. So it doesn't have to be at this meeting. It could have been before this meeting. And I think we've got a few that came in before the meeting. Maybe not about the South Lake, but.
Right, those have been answered.
Yeah, okay. So you can do that. So that basically is the general rules. What we're going to do, I bet you that if this meeting lasts till 9 o'clock, some of you are going to want to leave after the topic that you're interested in is over, and you can feel free to do that. We're going to do the South Lake Dam status. We'll talk about that. Then we'll finalize their preliminary 2024 fiscal year budget, because we have to have the first version of that posted on the website in June, and then we'll come back and revisit it again in July, and then it'll turn into the final. Then we've got Hans is going to talk a little bit about the CPA process, and then let's see, Janet's not here, so she will not give us an update on grants. And there's a few other things that are on the agenda. I'm not sure we'll get to them depending on how these first few discussions go, because we don't need to be here all night. We've set records of 3.5 hours, 4 hours, and we kind of said we're not doing that. So we all need to kind of keep our comments and questions direct and to the point, and see if we can't handle them and move on. I guess, though, technically we're supposed to do before we get into the South Lake status, we've got some normal part of our business to do. Treasurer's report.
Wait.
No, the minutes. We had 2 meetings in May, and so we're supposed to approve the minutes. Is there any questions or comments from any board people about the minutes? Somebody want to make a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, Tom made the motion to approve them. Mike seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it carries. All right, now we're on to the treasurer's report. Since you just heard a little bit about our treasurer, Tom resigned, and so yours truly, can you put that one up? 19, scan 19. Yeah. Yours truly did the update on our bank accounts and that sort of thing, and I'm really great with computers, but the pen and paper still works. So the treasurer report is very simple. And it's written in blue ink, but when I copied it, it turned black. So, but we have 2 checking accounts. If you look at this, this is through June the 1st, And the balance in the checking account, the general checking account was $10,300. We transferred $17,000 from the money market account, which is the lower one. And we've got checks that I'll show them to you in a minute that need to be approved that are 3861 through 3868, plus there's an electronic funds transfer to the power company. So those checks and that EFT total $24,789. So by transferring the $17,000 from the money market account, that'll leave us a balance of $2513 in that general checking account. The money market account has $1,280,224 at the start of the month. We're transferring $17,000, so that drops it down to $1,263,000. And then when you add A and B together, the top one and the bottom one, you've got $1,265,737. So there's the balance. The I don't think I didn't put it on there, but we have started getting 4.5% interest on our money market account. And so last month, the interest payment was $4,783. I think the previous month was in the $2,000 range. So we've made some improvements there on the amount of, we were getting 1.8%, now we're getting 4.5%. So. We also got $15,757 from the tax assessment from the county. They're the ones that collect and then send us a deposit for that, and that goes into this account. So that's where we're at on that. If you go to the next one, these are the checks. Shirley Phillips, $1,325. Cobb and Gonzalez, $5232.25. Debbie Barrett. Debbie did some signs for us when we had this fiasco with the South Dam back in May. And so she and Kay Manley assisted us quite a bit because we had enough other things going on, and they got some signs made and bought them, and so I'm reimbursing them for those signs. And we really appreciate y'all cooperating with us and helping us out and helping the community out. You know, that was a great gesture. So once we approve the checks, then me and Tom will sign them, but it may be at the end of the meeting. I don't know. All right. Then we've got Forest Groundworks at $2344. Then we've got Lee's Valve and Pump Repair at $5350. That's normally $4,500, but it was requested or required, I guess is a better word, by Tracy Wood with the Dam Safety Office in the state of Tallahassee, DEP, that we put tarp down over the damaged area on the south spillway. And so Tim does our valve work. He has workman's comp insurance and that sort of thing. So I asked him if he would do that work for us, and so the cost was $850. He went and bought the block, so the price of buying the block and all that's in here. So we're reimbursing him for that, plus some labor to secure those tarp in place. So that's the $5350. Majors and Associates, that's the lady that was just here. Her audit fee is $10,125. So I kind of thought she would show up tonight because it's a significant amount of money. And then Paul Pierce, Paul here? Yeah, there he is. Paul, it's $35.09. Paul fixed both of our file cabinets that hadn't worked in some time. And the $35.09 is the parts to fix it. And so, Paul, we really appreciate you doing that. Tried to pay him, and he said he's just helping the community. So, thank you very much for that. And then check 3868 is one y'all haven't heard of before. Is Ray Dominy was Biz Smart Web. We paid him $182.52. The invoice on that was for him working with us on some of the website issues, because Darla Mayo, who had done it, she quit effective immediately, basically. So we had to struggle to keep that thing going, and you've noticed some of it even with this South Lake deal, where some of the alerts didn't work and things like that. So this guy has jumped in and tried to help us out. He's so we wrote him a check for $182.52. And then Clay Electric, that's a normal, the light poles on the dams, $45. So total checks was $24,789.47. There was one check that was voided, that was to Stone Aquatic, when we talked about having them do the mechanical removal of weeds and all on both lakes. And so we had given them kind of a down payment of $7,905, and then we changed that to where they're supposed to come back, and Larry will talk about that later. But anyway, we voided that check, so that $7,905 comes back into the account. So, all right. Any questions about that? It's a little bit less numbers than what Tom usually puts on there, and I'm sure that QuickBooks, if you knew how to use QuickBooks and had QuickBooks on your laptop, which I don't, then you could probably do that a lot quicker. Because I don't know, I hate to tell you how long it took me to do it, but some of it was just me trying to figure out things like there were 2 checks that were missing. I found them, they were in a previous statement somewhere, but bothered me because I thought, oh no, man, right off the bat, you lost 2 checks. How can you do that? But they were there. They just weren't in the current month's business. They went back to April business.
Need a motion. Need a motion.
We need a motion to.
I'd like to make a motion to pass checks 3861 to 3868.
Motion and second. Jerry seconded. Mike made the motion. Oh, Larry did?
Larry did.
Well, excuse me. I thought Jerry did. Go ahead.
Larry did it.
Do I have my hair? No, I don't have my hearing aids though. Okay. These, Shirley, are the checks that I don't know whether I did this right or not. The checks are handwritten too, by the way. I think the person gets top in that one, and then
Get all of it.
we keep that one.
Nope. Hand it all out.
Why would you hand it all out? We don't have a record then of even giving anything.
Why didn't you copy them?
Huh?
You should have copied them.
Oh, no, I didn't copy. I got a copy right here. Debbie, you're going to get a check. Do you need anything other than one that's got your name and then there's something below it?
And take a picture of them.
Yeah, you do.
I'm treasurer of Logan. I keep copies of all checks, and I'm sure Tom has done that in the past, or he keeps copies of all the checks.
Yep.
That way you'll have a record too.
Why, it didn't make sense to me that you got nothing on the bottom too, So,
It's just easier to take a picture and keep it in your files.
well,
I'll just get it later.
all right. So you got some.
Mr.
you got some,
Chair.
Tape these things back
Alton.
together? or-
Alton,
All right, so we'll pick up this later. That becomes
I can scan those for you right now if you want and send them to you.
I think they're in order, because I think I just tore the bottom off of these, so. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Diane. All right, so where were we? Did we have a motion and a second? Did we have any more discussion? Did we vote on it?
We did vote.
We did vote? So it passed?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that takes care of the treasurer's report. That brings us down to the important topic for the day, and that's South Lake. If you'd put the one that says picture, no, the picture one. There you go, down to the very bottom. All right, I imagine most of you have looked at this. I put it up there in case somebody hadn't looked at it. This is obviously the South Lake Spillway. If you look at all the dirt down in the bottom, and you look up a little bit, you can see the depression of the blocks in that area. If you follow it on up through the next section, you're going to see the same thing. Not as bad. As you went down the hill, the velocity picked up and it looked worse. There's probably 2 dump truck loads of sand. That sand came from underneath these blocks. So if you remember what went on, Monday the 22nd, we had heavy rain quickly. As a matter of fact, we were having a special meeting here, and by 9 o'clock it started raining like cats and dogs, lightning, thunder. At about 10 o'clock, Tim Lee and I went after it quit lightning, and he opened the valves on the North Lake more. They had already been opened some. He opened them 100% and 50% on the east one. That was about 10:30 at night. And then we went to the look at the North Lake, and the South Lake. That was probably 11 o'clock by then. And there was 3 inches of water going over the spillway. The rain had slacked off. We got a total of 6 to 8 inches of rain during that whole time frame. The rain had slacked off some. We looked at the water going, the 3 inches going down the spillway. You didn't see any places where water was just shooting up. It was running down, and so we said, okay, we'll just see what it looks like tomorrow, because there wasn't any apparent reason to do anything at that time. Okay. And I would mention here that that emergency spillway is designed as an emergency spillway. You've got a primary spillway, which is a kettle, and then that is an emergency spillway, and it was, quote, designed to handle overflows of water. I guess Larry Pence lives right on the corner there where that spillway is, and I guess the only time that we've found out from anybody that we've had water going over that spillway is back when Hurricane Irma took place. And so you had water go over it then. We had 3 inches go over it this time. So Tuesday morning, saw the damage, saw what you see here, basically. And Wednesday, we had Hanson, who's doing the engineering work for us for improvements of the dam facilities. They had a guy out here within 2 hours after I had talked to the contact that's in Sarasota, and he had Justin Dewey here, and we looked at more of it and talked about it, and then so that was Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon, I notified Tracy Wood. He notified St. John Water Management District because he knows the guy there pretty well. Plus, we were running out of work time, so we said, well, I'll do some, you do some. And we notified the Emergency Management Coordinator, John Ward, here in Clay County. Technically, in reading our EAP, it didn't trigger the response for the emergency response. All right? And, but I said, well, we should probably go ahead and do that. It's a good thing. You know who's on our alert system that got the alert? Tracy Wood, which I didn't know that. But she is, which is fine, you know. We notified them. That led to Friday, after Justin Dewey was here, they wanted to get a geotechnical engineer from them, a guy named Jim, and don't ask me how you pronounce his last name. It starts with a K. They wanted to get him here, so Friday at 1 o'clock he was here. He was actually here a little bit earlier. And St. John Water Management District sent an engineer, and the Emergency Management Coordinator, John Ward, were here. And so they looked everything over, and came to the agreement that it was not a permit required situation, which is important, because if that would have been a permit required situation, then, you know, you'd be delaying the thing even more than it seems like now. So it was classified as a repair in kind. What that means, though, is put it back like what it was. All right. So that happened on Friday. Then this past week, we continued to work with Hanson some on looking at it and on trying to figure out what to do. They made contacts with the people that supplied the block that's on the top of that, and they recommended a company called Thompson Construction something Group, I think is the name of it. So Thursday of this week, Buck Thompson came. Actually, I called him and he answered the phone on a Saturday, which I thought was good. But he came highly recommended. He's done this kind of work. He's pulled block apart, like these things come as much as 18-ton lifts. Well, you can't get a crane out there to do that now with the power lines there and that sort of thing. So he came Friday and looked the whole situation over and talked about what he thought and what needs to be done. He also talked about things that need to be taken apart a little bit before you really totally know what happened here and what your real repairs are going to have to be. He said that as soon this week as he can, he will get back to us with some kind of idea of what we're looking at from a timing and a cost standpoint and that sort of thing. So I expect to talk with him tomorrow and see what we've got, and it's still what it's not, quote, an emergency. The dam's fixing to fail, but we're in hurricane season. We're in the summer, where we're still can expect heavy rains. So we need to get this thing fixed. We need to get it fixed with somebody that comes highly recommended, and it's going to cost us some money too. It's not $10,000. It's more than that, significantly more than that. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but that's pretty much where we stand on it. So the next few days, that's what we'll get. If we go to that other one, 20, Tom, I think it's 20. Yeah. This has got two pictures with it. What you see on the very bottom, that's native soil, compacted dirt, sand, whatever you want to call it. All right. Then it's called a geotextile. That's kind of like fabric stuff you put down. And then right above that is the gravel. No, that's the block. Right. That row there is about 4 inches of gravel. And then above that is this articulating concrete block. So that's the way that thing was put together. What it looks like happened is the water coming down. There's holes in these blocks down to the gravel level. I didn't mention one thing. There's a geogrid. At the top of that gravel, there's something called a geogrid. That's to keep the rock in. Okay, but that the water came down and actually washed some of that gravel out. If you go back to that first picture we were looking at, it showed sand mostly, but it showed some gravel. So it washed the gravel out, and then it started washing dirt. So that's what appears to be the failure mode. Remember, this guy will be here, and when we get him to start doing the work, then there may be other things that are discovered that aren't known yet. The one more, scroll down on that, or scroll up, I guess. There's another page, it's the other way. Okay, stop right there. This is on the lakeside. When we drop that level down 12 inches, the blue areas, there's some damage there too. We probably have been there for a while, but when we drop a lake down, you saw it, so we'll have him repair that too. And then if you go the other way, Tom, other way.
Go down.
Yeah. All right, see the bottom part below that 40, 41, 42, that's a sheet metal piling that's there. And if you look at the red areas, 38, 39, 40, and then right above it, 30 and 31, those are the areas that stuff's going to have to be removed, and all that stuff underneath it's going to have to be repaired, put back in, compacted, all that stuff. We had as much, if you stuck a rod in the places you could, we had like 20 to 24 inches in some places of dirt that was washed from below those blocks. So, and then this is pretty much manual labor to go in, and those things they're cabled together, and then there's concrete poured that kind of tie after they're set in place that kind of ties them together. And so it's not a quick job to do either. I said in the last alert that it could be 8 or 9 weeks. I think that's what I said. Did I say? All right. The other challenge is contractors of any type. Getting contractors is not easy nowadays. So this guy says he can have some people within a couple of weeks. I think he estimated that if it takes a couple of weeks to get here, then you can add about another 6 weeks. But again, you're kind of going day at a time. You could uncover something that says, well, it's going better, or you could say it's not going as fast. You're going to have to do more. So that generally is an overview, and all I wanted to say about where we're at. If you ask me, say, what do you think you ought to do? I think that with the recommendations we've got from this guy, unless he throws us a curveball somewhere, then I think that we've got to treat this as an emergency situation from a board standpoint to repair this thing as soon as we can. And this guy comes highly recommended by the guy that supplies block, and he's done a lot of work all over. Corps of Engineers, St. John Water Management District, things like that. So I think Hanson and myself and a couple of other people that participated when he was here are favorably impressed. So I don't think we've got any choice if he comes through but to go ahead and at some point make a motion tonight to let's go ahead with it. So that's my comments. The board people, I'll let the board people talk, and then if any of you have provided you fill out the paperwork, I want you to do that. And then one person talk at a time, but we'll go through them as I called the name.
Hey, Alton. One thing that you didn't mention that is adding to the duration of this project is we can't have any heavy equipment down there. It's going to have to be a manual labor job.
Yeah, it's pretty well manual. I mean, you can have small backhoe type thing, but on track wheels, and but you can't have bobcat. Again, track bobcat, but you can't have. We can't put heavy equipment on there. That's correct. Any other comments or questions from board people?
I can make a comment, I guess. Yeah, there was some discussion about let me get back to this picture, wherever it went. The amount of dirt washed into the lake, and there's going to be some investigative digging and probing to see exactly what's the status of the sheet piling that's on the downstream side. they'll be spending a couple days looking at that. We may have to do some remedial work on that sheet piling too. We just don't know yet if anything happened, but there's some concern there as well.
Okay, anybody else on the board? Diane? No?
No, thank you for the update, and I'm looking forward to hearing what our neighbors have to
Yeah.
say and
Yeah, so what I said at the beginning was that's the board will talk, and then we won't put it to a vote yet, then we'll give you an opportunity. And then we'll come back and finish up on this subject.
We know we have a leak from that code drain that's been out for 5 or 6 years.
The one where your tree is? Yeah, we will have them look at fixing that too. While we're- Yeah, that's at the corner where your lot is and where the bulkhead stops. Yeah,
Yeah, the sinkhole is already there, so they know about it.
yeah. Okay. All right. I only have 3 pieces of paper here. Nobody jumped up and grabbed a piece of paper. I don't think I did that good a job of explaining everything, but there's still paper up there. So we'll start with Herman. Herman Heil, is that the name? Okay, can you stand right there and talk to us?
Well, the only question I had, you answered some of it, but obviously being I live on the South Lake,
Right.
and I've been here about 30 years or over 30 years, and we went a long time without the spillway. And I was just wondering if the board considered looking at an option of trying to close that spillway back down for right now, until you can get the work done on the backside so you can restore the lake so we can use it. Because we use it, that's why we live here. That's, but if you look at, anyway, because you can't use it now, you don't want the water running over it.
Right.
So anyway, you can just sandbag that back up and raise the lake back up so we can use it. Is that being even looked at, or we just trashed that and said, we're not gonna do anything, we can fix the backside?
Well, what happened when we had the St. John Water Management District engineer out here, you got all this stuff that was on that drawing underneath there, and that all is affecting the drainage and that sort of thing. And you got we do have some tow drains that are running that much water out there all the time, but they were before the danger, before this happened too. We permitted this thing to do the spillway installation that I think was completed in 2013. I wasn't here, but it was completed, and it's got a sign on it that says 2013. And so what St. John's Water Management District is saying is you got to restore this thing back just like it was, just like you had the permit to do.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with that. I've been
Yeah.
here and I've seen the kettle go up and down, the lake go up and down.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying that you've shut down the spillway
Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that.
No,
But I'm saying if you're going to shut it down, then why can't you just shore up the lakeside to restore it back basically to where it was before you put the spillway in, which is what we've done for 30 plus years.
Yeah, the one thing that's unknown too is okay, we know there's 20 to 24 inches of dirt gone under some of that stuff. We don't really know. I mean, some of it looks like it's still level, but does it have dirt under it or not? You don't really know until you just go in there and try to repair it. So the dam itself is not, what would you call it? It's not in great shape. It's not as in the shape it would have been in when you didn't have that spillway. So I'm reluctant. I mean, this is bad enough to happen, but if we don't, and it's back to an in-kind fix, but that's still, I mean, I'm still not comfortable with it, and I'm not comfortable with it because Hanson Engineers that we hired, they've already looked at this stuff, and they don't think that's a long-term, as-is thing to live with. So if you go back to on our website, you'll see in October of 2022, there's a book in there, a report. It was their first report to us after doing investigations. And then they broke out what kinds of things they thought would need to be done to the North Dam and the South Lake Dam and Lake Ryan Dam. And they put on there some major upgrades to that spillway on the South Lake. So I understand what you're saying. I think your comment.
I mean, you shut down in the summer. I mean, I got grandkids and kids, and it just.
I understand.
I understand. If there's nothing wrong with the front side, just close back up the spillway. You're not using it anyway.
There is.
Can you restore the front side of the dam so we can restore the lake, so we can use the lake?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Alton, can I add 2 cents?
I just said look at it. I hadn't heard anywhere where you looked at it or anything, so that's my question.
Yeah, there was a little bit of discussion when we first started looking at it about
That's what I was afraid of it, just a little bit.
Can you block that off?
I wanted a whole lot.
Yeah, on the inside, on the inlet side, and that wasn't considered a good comment from a non-engineer type perspective. Mike?
Just to touch on that a little bit, I was actually up there with the engineers, and we kicked that tire about, just blocking it off. I added 3 or 4 inches to it, keep water out of it. He says with the backside compromise that he would not want any more water pressure on the front of the dam. So raising that would increase the water pressure, and he was highly against it.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Steve Rizzo? It's not about this topic? Okay, so we'll put you here. Don't let me forget later. Okay, William, I can't pronounce your last name. Yeah. Your question, well, go ahead. You can tell us what your question is.
Yeah, new to the community within a year. My wife grew up on the lake. Biggest question is, how long has this been like that? When did they fix it last with the blocks?
The blocks, that job was completed in 2013.
Okay, so 2013, and we're trying to repair it the way it was? Why aren't we repairing it better?
Well, we're repairing it back to as-built condition, which we're only doing, if you remember that drawing there's only 5 sections, let's call it, that's being redone.
But my point is, you're closing it down for the summer, which I completely understand. That's reasonable if it's going to give for the better of the community. However, you just said you put the blocks in 2013. That's a short-term outlook.
It is
for a long-term problem that my generation is going to have to deal with.
Your generation will deal with it the same way this board is trying to deal with it, and that is the dams are...
Reactive approach?
No, our dams are a priority. If you hadn't been to any of our meetings, but the dams are the priority.
Right.
That's why we hired an engineering group that has dam experience from an engineering perspective.
There's got to be a better way to build that dam.
There is, and that's what they will do once we get the permitting and all that's required to go forward.
So what's the long-term?
Long-term, if you looked at the South Lake, the North Lake has a concrete spillway.
Okay.
Right? So, solid concrete.
So we're going to get solid concrete out here?
I would predict that's what we're going to get.
Because you're showing us block.
I'm showing the block because that's what's out there. I'm just showing what the condition is and
I just hope that we're looking long-term and we don't have this problem, 10 years down the road?
That drawing is only as-built. And the 2013 design is not what we would call best practice today.
Right.
It's been proven elsewhere that it has issues, so we're not going to continue with that. But the challenge we have is what do we do first? And the permitting and all the other issues that go along with keeping the state people happy is such that they require us to repair in kind. And that's what we have to do. Now, part of that problem...
Well, then they're not going to let you concrete if it's in kind.
No. gotta be the same or block.
So
with
we're
the
back
dam.
to the same problem.
Right.
10 years down the road.
But we're gonna try and manage it better with the valve openings and
Really?
and going forward. That's all we can do.
Wow,
This,
okay.
because this dam,
That doesn't make any sense.
the normal lake level is not so far away from the overflow level as compared to the north dam.
But my point is, you're repairing it the same way. You're shutting it down all summer.
Yeah.
My point is, you're repairing it the same way,
Correct.
and that's a short-term solution to a long-term problem.
It is, because more than likely in 3 or 4 years, once we get done with the north dam, we're gonna tear into this one and fix it a long
Why
term.
can't you just fix the problem? Like the right way?
We gotta get the.
I get the design and permit thing. I understand that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Okay, look, we're getting time out. We're getting out of hand here. And I think,
I'm just asking a question.
Time-
I understand.
Time would be twice as long, or
yeah,
God knows how
yeah.
long.
The solution short term is, we're gonna have to fix what we've got in kind. Long term, we've got Hanson engineers that are working on improvements of all 3 dams. And that will be a lot better fix than what this situation we've got out there right now is.
It takes some money.
It'll take some money.
We're throwing money for something that's a short-term solution. That makes no
We're-
sense.
we're-
When you're shutting down the
you-
dam the whole summer, that makes no sense.
That's your opinion, and I think your 3 minutes is up, so let's, you got a piece of paper that you wrote something down on, Debbie?
No, I'm just trying from Lake Lodge to maybe try to get everybody to understand what you're doing is good for 8 to 9 weeks versus us all being without water behind our house. 8 or 9 weeks isn't gonna kill anybody because you still got the rest of the summer. I know it's bad, we're dealing with stuff over here too, but you've gotta look at it, you gotta try to fix it so you can use it this summer. 8 or 9 weeks is this.
That's
8 or 9 weeks is this.
All right, we're,
Down for a year. But if it
Yeah,
started-
but you're gonna have to do it again.
If they
That's my
started
whole
in
point.
September.
You're gonna have to lower the water again and fix the spillways when they do the
But it would
fence.
be-
okay, time out. We're not getting anywhere this way. So let's move on. The next person to talk was Jenny. Yeah, Jenny, what, pronounce your last name for us, if you will.
Mosley, I know, I type, I don't write like that.
Mosley?
Yes, Mosley.
Okay, thank you. I can read
So
that, I just
I'm
didn't.
also new to the community, and I was just wondering, do we have a design that has been approved yet for the next, the new dam? Is there a approved design on that yet?
No, Jenny, there's not. The process has been that we had Hanson come and do some engineering studies, looked at all the previous, back to 88 at least, the engineers that had looked at this thing. And then they've done some surveying, they've done some more ground, soil-related work. And then they've worked with St. John Water Management District, and that's where we're kind of stalled, or delayed, I'd say. Now, this thing that happened here, I've taken advantage of that with everybody I've talked to from St. John Water Management District or the state of Florida, and the emergency management guy, to try to put pressure on St. John Water Management District. Here's the problem. These dams were built in 65 to 70, and they were built for a 100-year flood. And if you go, and nobody required permits then, okay? So they're not permitted, except for this South Dam. It's the only one that had been permitted in 2013. So now we're trying to say, hey, we want to fix these dams, and we have to. The real reason is the valves that are on all lakes, 2 of them on the north, 1 on the south, 1 on Lake Ryan. Tim Lee was able to get those things to function for us, but we were in deep trouble before he got them to function. So then we said, okay, they're not going to last forever, so we've got to get some engineer to work with us on improving this stuff. And that's what got into the assessments and all this stuff. St. John Water Management District, the only permit that they can give you without going through some of the bureaucracy is a full, what's called PMP, probable maximum precipitation. That means somewhere between 38 and 40-something inches of rain, okay? And what we've been doing is, one of the things Hanson has done through another engineering group that's a sub to them, is doing incremental analysis type calculations and things like that to try to show St. John Water Management District that they could issue us a permit for something less than full PMP, say half PMP. I think that's 17 inches if I remember correctly, instead of the 37, 38. And so that's kind of where it's stuck right now. So there's been several meetings with St. John Water Management District on that subject. Once the kind of come to an agreement with them, us, and St. John Water Management District, then you can go ahead with design work. But if you said do it now and do it to full PMP, I doubt we've got enough space on our dams to put what it would require to satisfy a full PMP, let alone how much it would cost.
So what is the estimated time to get through the bureaucracy? The bureaucracy, because we really can't continue to wait, 6 months, 8 months, or a year until we come through at least getting to a design part.
Yeah, I don't have a guarantee on that. I'll just tell you that I participated in some conversations with Hanson and St. John Water Management District. Yeah. And the people that you deal with in the permitting part took it to the big shots and said, hey, look, these guys have done a lot of studies. They spent a lot of money on engineering, and we think that we can't just have them continue to do money and spend money and do studies and stuff like that, that we need to come to some kind of agreement. And so they asked for a little bit more, and Hanson is not quite there yet, but they're close. So hopefully that will be the last amount of information you've got to do to secure the criteria for what you have to design to.
Well, I'm absolutely sure if they were paying the assessments that we are, that they would be a little more motivated. We need to start really poking them on that, as far as I'm concerned. But the other thing I wanted to ask you is, are we paying out of the budget that is to be for the new dam that we're trying to save, the new assessment? Is that what's going to repair the dam?
It's one bag of money.
Okay.
You
I
know,
just
so-
wasn't sure if it was, we had
Yeah.
a maintenance plan or any kind of money set aside for maintenance. So,
We do, and we'll be talking about the budget here in a little bit.
Okay, so
But we
it
do
just makes
have,
sense
we do have money that we do maintenance, like Tim does maintenance every month. He's
yeah.
lubricating valves, checking alignment on them, opening, closing, things like that, so.
And I have one last comment. We're putting a lot of eggs in Hanson and waiting. Have we not been able to find at least another company that we could possibly work with? No?
Well, I don't want to go there, but,
Okay.
I mean, I could tell you, I will. If you go back and look at the minutes and look at what all's going on, the last one that was with this board, I was the ringleader in getting them going.
And I know you are volunteers, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
No, we're volunteers, but look, the people on this board are, at least, I'll just speak for myself. I was retired, I was asked to get on this board. And then some other changes took place, and I'm still on it. And as long as I'm able to, these dams need to get fixed.
Absolutely.
We hired Hanson, we researched them. We had a guy that lived on the lake that works for Black and Veatch, and he sold, and now he's not here anymore. But he was a really good guy and Black and Veatch is a big engineering company, that builds reservoirs and all kinds of stuff. Too big to do something as small as this job is, even though it looks like a big job. But he recommended Hanson. He knows those guys personally. So that was a strong recommendation as far as I was concerned. Also, they hired Bergman, which is another engineering company that has done a lot of work with dams and levees and reservoirs and stuff like that. So they have the expertise to get this thing done. The other thing that they did is they subbed to Kimley Horn, and Kimley Horn has some people that are trying their best to get us grants or appropriation requests so that we can get off of this $2,400. But until we get some relief some way and know more about what we're doing construction-wise, we're going to have a hard time doing it.
Do we know where we are in the grants? As far as the grant writing, do we know where we are on those? Okay.
You answered that, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping you understood what she was saying. Okay, thank you. That was Jenny. All right, am I putting it back there? This is Sandra Kuhn.
Yes, I have a question about the missing files that have been missing for how many years? And is it yay or nay that they are ever going to be found? They have to be in someone's hands that lived here.
We will, if you can be more specific about what files,
On the file cabinet, the business files that have been missing. You all know what I'm talking about.
No, ma'am.
You don't? Okay.
I do not know what you're saying.
All right, I guess I'll have to find out more information elsewhere.
If you could provide us more information.
There are people trying to find information now. I just thought I would ask the question to see if it's been brought forth. Because we're aware that they are missing. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know the answer to that. We obviously can have some discussion with people at the county. There is a group that is not part of our board. It's not part of the Lakeline Owners Board that is meeting with people in the county, talking about watershed studies. The county supposedly has a watershed study going for Lake Ashbury, and there have been meetings. I went to one of them myself. Kristen Burke, the commissioner for our area, she is aware of our situations, and I think she is trying to do everything she can to help us. But specifically, have I or any of the board gone to the county since we've had this issue? No, I hadn't really had time to address that, but so.
And if the dam were to fail, what are the liabilities of lot owners? In other words, damage to people's property. Somebody's driving down the dam or whatever. People get hurt from it. Who is, as far as I know, the actual entity that the state put into place, MSPD, y'all aren't held liable for that, correct? So there has to be insurance. What is covered by that?
Well, generally I'll say,
Can individual lake lot owners be held responsible at any capacity? Do we have to go out and seek supplemental insurance or anything in case of a complete dam failure?
well, there's joint ownership between the Lake Lot Owners Association and the district. Now, the district's a governmental entity and is protected by the limits of sovereign immunity. Yeah, but that's just half of it. The other half is the Property Owners Association. They have some ownership. I don't represent them, I just represent the district. But as far as your question to the district, there is protection from sovereign immunity.
For y'all?
Well, I mean, the district is you all. I mean, you got the board up here, but the district is made up of the property owners. There's 445 of you, okay? But the Lake Lot Owner Association was in existence way before the district was created in 1986. So there's joint ownership. So I can only answer the question on behalf of the district because that's who I represent.
So then you can't say how much we are actually liable for as individuals.
Well, the extent of what I can say is that the dam structures, there's joint ownership between the district and the Property Owners Association. Okay, on the district side, it's a governmental entity, and so you got the limits of sovereign immunity. Okay, I can't speak for the Property Owners Association side of it.
So to find out for individual lake lot owners, you're saying we would have to talk to the association?
Yeah, I can't speak on behalf of the association.
All right, Bill?
You may have answered part of the question, but I've got two, so they should run together. First of all, do we have any knowledge or any facts on the influence of all the drainage from the outside the community, the other retention ponds that are coming in here, and how quickly that's causing the water to rise when we have a storm? So in other words, we used to just have to deal with our own runoff. Now we've got all this extra water coming in, so you get a 6-inch rainfall that we were probably able to handle. Now we've got all this extra drainage coming in. Do we know what the effect of that is?
There was this watershed study that's supposedly going on with Lake Ashbury now. There was a watershed study done in 2011. And Mike, you might comment on this. Mike's not, he's not commenting from a Lambda standpoint though, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually with a group of people I'd like to answer, not associated with any of the boards. And we've met with the county a couple times. Brandon met with us and Diane, several of us. Anyway, it all hinges on the watershed study. And the county says that it would be ready by this past February and we meet again. It wasn't ready. So they postponed us, but we still meet with them. As a matter of fact, I had them out at the house a month or so ago. So they come out and they're aware of it. As far as the way the waterfall, I thought we caught a break with 6 inches because the only new water coming into the lake to speak of is across the street, Henley.
Yeah.
Fortunately, all those ponds were empty. So we really didn't get no water for those guys. Okay. I think it really would have been bad had those ponds been full. And that's one of the reasons why we took the actions we did, because we were afraid if it rains again, the ground's saturated now and the ponds are full, so we'll get whacked. So that's going to be dropped the lake and try to be as precautionary as possible. But yes, we are meeting with the county and we're unaffiliated. There's 4 or 5 of us. I'll get with you sometime and I'll talk to you about it.
Okay. The second part of the question is the county going to assume any kind of financial liability for damages in the future or even maintenance, since that runoff could have some impact?
That might be a Hans question, and my guess is they're a government and they got some kind of sovereignty. We're just trying to, the small group of us, we're just trying to hold them accountable. Where's the water coming from? We'd love to know how much, but we're never going to find that out. And is there a possibility of diverting it into other waterways, straight into Black Creek or whatever that creek is across the street? Yeah.
From a legal standpoint, I mean, they're running the water into a private community.
Well, I would recommend that the more of the district citizens that contact the county, the squeaky wheel gets the attention.
Yeah.
The district is a dependent district of Clay County. The district can't really take any legal action against Clay County.
Right.
Now, the district is this governmental entity run by the board. You all are citizens of the district. Now, what you all can or can't do, that's a different issue. And that's why I say the more of you that contact the county and cause it to be an issue for them, probably the more it'll be addressed by them.
Okay. So it's a political issue that we all need to be aware of.
Right.
Okay.
All right, Bill, I had one thing. Christine Burke's our representative.
Yeah.
And she comes to every one of our meetings.
Yeah,
So-
I met her. She
So
seems
when we
very
meet
interesting.
as just citizens, she's always there.
Okay.
So she hears our side, but the more people, the better, you know?
Okay, great, thank you.
I'm sorry, I can't read this name, but I'll read the first question since I can't read the name. Where do we see Hanson's recommendations? Question, hearsay question below that. So whoever's,
That's what my wife and I had. Mike Theriot, good evening.
Mike, okay. Sorry, I
That's okay, that's okay. So we were a member of the community for about 8 years. Enjoyed the community thoroughly. We just had a couple of questions about the, what was it with the lake?
Well, just trying to, and for the kids still, reaching, I guess, you guys have made up your mind. I mean, the water's already low, so we'll just, there's no way to get in there. Since it's low and the water's not going over into the spillway, nobody can use anything at this point. I mean, we're not even asking to raise it. So if it's already low and it's not leaking over, you still can't ride a boat or a skate or anything on it. I mean, what would be the issue if the water's low? I'm not sure, so I'm asking.
I guess we're all reaching, is there a possible way to do like a temporary bulkhead or shoring? Maybe delineate some areas where we could have some use of the lake at certain depths, saying, hey, all right, you guys can use these portions of the lake and maybe do some temporary shoring or temporary water management through piping and stuff like that. I mean, of course, we're all just reaching. We got kids coming and grandkids and everything else for the summer. So
yeah, I understand your concern. I understand your questions. Remember, you still can use the North Lake. That's not as convenient for you, but you still can use the North Lake. But to try to address specifically what you're talking about, we kind of have, I guess I wouldn't say we've been in a panic mode, but we've been certainly in a concerned mode because we don't want the dam to fail. But having said that, and listening to your comments, some people that have been on the dam having some conversation, and we won't call it sunshine law violation because it's information gathering. There have been some conversations about looking at that. I think we've got to get further down the road though with the repair and because we don't know the extent of what we're really dealing with yet. So once we know the extent, then maybe we can revisit that.
look at a temporary solution.
Yeah.
Also, too, I work with a general lodge contractor, Peter Kiewit. You see them, they have the St. John's Bridge and all that stuff. And if you would like, I can reach out to my counterparts in infrastructure. I work in power, so I do like powerhouses and stuff like that, excuse me. But I can definitely reach out to the infrastructure group, which does billions and billions of dollars. We're like top 10 contractors in the country. So if you want, I can definitely reach out to, like I said, my counterparts in dams and infrastructures. And they have equipment and people right on site. And they are the actually ones that are going to be building the bridge at the new expressway. So if you want a second opinion or a cost or something like that, I could definitely put you in touch with another person just to get a second opinion.
Why don't you give us the contact information? Because like I said,
I can email you. I'm sure I can get your email online and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'll email you with all my information and all that stuff. Yep.
If they will send it to me, I can forward it on.
Okay. And you're Shirley?
District
Secretary.
Yeah.
Okay, it's on the website.
Yeah.
And then one last question. I did do some looking at the website. Will you guys be updating the improvement plan schedule? Because I kind of looked at the schedule and it looks like it's like falling behind and all this other stuff. Will we be expecting an update on the capital improvement schedule, the plan schedule?
Well, once we get agreement with St. John Water Management, at least in principle of what we're going to have to design for the south, for the North Lake, and then the South Lake, and then Lake Ryan, then we can update. But until we've got it, you're just guessing. So that's the problem.
So I'm sorry, and I have a few questions. So can't use it, or we're gonna revisit it? I mean, like I'm saying, if the lake is already low and there's no water coming over, well, why wouldn't we be able to use any watercraft? If we're keeping it low, is there, I don't know, so I'm asking, is there some kind of a danger at this point? I mean, if you're using your watercraft in the water, but you've already lowered it down so nothing comes over, why are we stopping?
Until we have a contractor that starts tearing that thing apart and seeing really what we've got there, we're guessing at what's there. And so there's a certain risk in that. And we're not willing to take that risk.
Yeah, so further evaluation.
Till further evaluation,
Maybe
yeah.
you can get a temporary solution during
Yeah.
the construction phase. And then one last question I had, with that capital improvement plan, I noticed there was a schedule for dredging the fingers. Is now an opportune time to dredge the fingers in South Lake?
We can't divert money that we're going to need for dam repairs for dredging in the near future. That would be the wrong priority.
I thought that was just in schedule of the capital
Yeah.
improvement plan there, says that was going to take place. I was just wondering, can you move the schedule around, since we're down anyways,
Yeah.
clean that portion up of the fingers, right?
Yeah, we're still not rolling in the money. I know everybody's, and myself, paying $2,400 a year, but we need that money for bigger bills yet to come when the time comes. Now, as far as using the lake, I believe there's no problem with people paddling and kayaking and certainly can swim, but we can't allow power boats because of wake damage to other lot owners and as well as pressure on the dam. So
will we be closing
that's how we're going to
the road
have to
down
leave
at the
it.
same time? Well, we're gonna close the road down at some point?
No, we don't anticipate the road on the dam will be closed, maybe temporarily or periodically while we're moving supplies.
Yeah, is
But
it the pressure this way and that? I don't understand that.
it's a lateral to sideways pressure. We can't risk creating leakage or more damage internally in the dam.
And that's all on the website,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you said it's Hanson, I can find all those documents, his recommendations, all that, I can read
Right.
myself on your website.
Yeah, if you look at the website, open it up, on the left-hand side, look for Hanson. And then you can click on Hanson, you can see several different things. The biggest thing you can probably see is in the project update, in October of 2022, it's got comments about all the dams, and it's got even some comments about what they're thinking now about
It's
improvements.
recent, like what's going on now, that's been updated, that's been.
Yeah, but we have not, to answer your question about the CIP, we have not updated that. That's still one that was done by the previous.
Telling us about what he said, so it's kind of like, you're just, is it your opinion or is it the engineer's opinion?
No, it's the engineer's opinion.
So where can we read that?
On the CIP or on not.
Has it been what you're telling?
Well, I told what I'm telling you today and about the 12 inches. That was pretty much dictated from the engineer. I said, why don't we just lower it 6 inches? And he said, you better lower it at least a foot. So it could be more than that.
All right, I understand. Is that
Yeah.
outdated? I can just read his recommendations. The most recent one is not.
Wasn't that in our alert or not?
We met with that guy 10 days ago, or what was it?
So it's
And
not.
all it is the guy standing on the dam saying, this is what I think you ought to do.
Okay, so nothing formal.
So, it wasn't like a letter from the engineer. Engineer talking about something.
No, and we that's what I mean by until we get the guys here and start tearing stuff apart, nobody's going to tell you that you're good to go.
It's hard because we're listening to you, and I'm sure this is exactly what he said, but it's always good to read it yourself so I can see what their recommendation actually was.
Yeah, I got you. Well, unfortunately, the buck stops here, and as long as these guys are saying you got risk, I'm not going to take that risk. I just can't do it.
I'll wait for the recommendation.
Okay, now I think we got Joy.
You know who I am?
Yeah, I know who you are. Joy Mendoza, right?
I've been here before.
Yeah, you were in
Actually,
one
just
time
once.
that I know of.
Actually, just once, 2 months ago. So first of all, thank you, board members. I do know that you guys put in a lot of hours and a lot of work, and specifically, thank you for lowering and opening the dams and just taking care of our community. So thank you for that. I know a lot of us are new here, myself included. I've been here 2 years, and in the past several months, I've gotten really involved because there's a lot of things changing rapidly, and I think that those of us who are new to the community really need to start getting involved and not wait until we're 65 years old and retired. I don't want to do that because I want our community to be sustained for the years between now and then. So first question, Hans is here, so he gets to be the target of this question. Our lakes, as we've discussed, are 50% owned by LaLoa, 50% owned by Lambsta, which is a public body. Are our lakes private or public?
Well, right now, the entryways to the lakes are private because they're owned by Lola. So the ramps, it's private. So that ends up making the lake private.
Got it. Okay, so the entryways are privately held, and that's what restricts access. As far as the property parcel itself of the lake with 50% ownership, would you call that public or private property?
That would require some legal research that I just can't give you an answer right now.
Up to interpretation?
Yeah, I mean.
Or case study?
Right.
Okay. Note that. As a community, note that. It's important, and it's an important part of our conversation. The only thing that is holding our lakes private at this point is the access.
Yeah, the access ways are owned by the homeowners association, which is a private entity.
Correct. Okay. So just wanted to clarify because I've been trying to dig deep into a lot of the statements that are being made and whether they are true or not true and what organizations we do in fact need. My second question was regarding watershed, not for you, Hans, but regarding watershed. Can you give me a history as to how we became a drainage ditch for any outside watershed? Was that something that was voted upon by us as a body, or did we provide access or permission for that?
Alton, you want me to get that one? I can handle some of this. In my meetings with the county, back in 68, 65, somewhere out there, they put in canals off of 218 to prevent 218 from flooding. That water goes into what is now Hazelwood.
Got it.
So it was designed from the beginning to be, I'm not going to call it a retention pond, but to take excess water.
Got it. And that was done without permission? It was county-led?
Yeah, that was done by the county. I've never really looked it up. That's
It's a
just what
long
they
time
told me.
ago, isn't
Yeah.
it? Okay, and so thank you for that history. Do we have any dictation over what new watershed? Now, because it sounds like that canal was built, but now we're acquiring additional water from across Henley. So do we get to dictate what watershed we acquire?
I think the previous board approved the water coming off of Henley.
Okay.
In fact,
See?
I did a public.
You just gotta ask questions. You just gotta dig.
It was approved. I did public requesting. I got the permit from St. John's Water Management today.
Got it. Thank you.
I can send it to you.
Thanks
if you
for
like.
the history. I'm just trying to learn. That's, I think that a big part of this process is truly learning the history and what the roles of the different organizations are and why they are important to us as a community. My last question on there is related to our records. As I hear there's concern about records disappearing, and obviously we are a long tenured organization. Is it possible for us to convert to a cloud-based record system like Dropbox rather than keeping paper records? There's really no reason for that. Is that possible for the board to move towards that?
It's probably not my place to talk, but I say I believe it's time that we ought to. It's super simple. I was talking to a couple of guys before. I can take a picture of my phone and put it in my Dropbox in 5 seconds.
All of the records that
Right.
Alton had earlier would
Right.
be easily
It'd be all in Dropbox.
easily there.
Yeah, presently, we're required by Florida law to maintain records for considerable periods of time. most of them, due to technology and age, are paper-based records. There are a few things that we've started collecting on hard drives, and at this point, we do not have a formal cloud-based program in place. But with our soon-to-be new webmaster involved, we're going to move at a quicker pace than we were before. And one of the things that another board member was tasked with was to start to inventory what we have in the back room here. And frankly, at this point, I don't have an answer for what's in the back room, but I'm not aware of any missing records. I think it's more appropriately just unknown.
Misplaced, perhaps.
They're not inventoried.
Correct.
But
Well,
I'm not aware of anything that's missing.
For the second time as a member of this organization, I would suggest that we move towards a cloud-based record system, including putting all of our current records into said cloud-based system, because I think it would make it easier for the next generation, as one of us
totally
said,
agree,
coming
but
forward to be able to really access
There's going to be a
those.
cost for that too, that we have to find money for.
Dropbox is
'Cause you
pretty affordable. And I would happily personally fund it just to know that our records were secure. I said that was my last question. So I guess I just want to, again, reiterate my gratitude, and also to the community that we really dig in and ask questions that may or may not be popular. If you've followed, you've seen that I've been doing that. And I'm doing it for the purpose of helping our community truly understand what the different organizations are and how we can best serve together. Because I think our volunteers are doing their absolute best. So kudos to you guys. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Cindy?
I live on Livermore. My question is, why is there a sign on the North Lake Dam about weight coming across that dam, and there's not one on the South Lake? And you cannot tell me that the vibration is not affecting that, because you don't want to do it in the water because of pressure. But there's some big trucks coming across there. I've seen the dump trucks coming across there.
Okay, I've talked to the county engineer about that when they were putting the signs on the North Lake. The structure on the North Lake is a bridge structure that has concrete on the surface, and that is subject to different criteria from the DOT than what the South Dam is. It's not considered a bridge structure, and that's what I was told. So
I'm a little nervous, though, I'll be honest with you. Looking at those pictures and seeing the dump trucks come across there, I think I'd have them take another look. And also, you've got the float plane. I haven't seen him yet, but he drops out of the sky at any time.
You got what?
The float plane. It's a seaplane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any way to contact it to make sure that he doesn't just drop out of the sky again? Yeah, we've tried. He's got that number.
I can speak on the seaplane. I'm high up in aviation. Until there's legislation that says that body of water cannot be used seaplane, there's nothing you can do about it. Because the minute he lands, he's not an aircraft. He is a boat.
Right, and that's why I'm worried if he comes in, there's going to be some pressure.
There has to be documented legislation from the county that says you cannot land amphibious aircraft.
Now, the one that I've seen, I would consider as an ultralight, and there's a whole different set of categories for that. Okay, then correct me.
The minute you touch the down, he's a boat.
Yeah.
Exactly, my point, yes.
Okay, we're out of control again. We're out of control again. We've got to move on. We've got other things to cover, and it's already 8 o'clock.
With
Cindy,
regard
go ahead.
to-
You had one
But
other?
I do have a second question for you.
I wanted
and
to
that-
add a comment, if that's okay,
I'm sorry?
I wanted to add a comment to the signs before you.
Sure.
I was working with Lola when, and the signs came about when we were addressing the Lake Lark situation and the concern about development coming. So Lola went to the county to get those weight limits, and the plan, the whole purpose was to get signs for both dams, and the county refused to give us the one for this dam, and they did have the discussion that they were two different types of dams built two different kind of ways, and they refused to give us that. I don't know if putting more pressure on them and asking them to revisit would be something that they'd relook at, but we tried really hard to push for that.
And I remember you pushing for it. I just think that maybe that this needs to be brought to their attention and say, hey, you may want to put a weight limit sign on there. That's just my opinion. I don't know. But then, so you were talking about the dredging. So we moved here a little over 4 years ago. We live in the Hazelwood Hole that nobody wants to do anything about. I get it. It's not in your backyard. Doesn't matter to you. However,
I disagree with that statement.
However, one second, please. When I bought my house, it was written in the contract that there were plans for renovation already in the works. And it was signed by Mark McMillan. That's why we bought our house. Nothing's been done. But then I find out, even if you don't have waterfront property, I still get stuck with that $2,400 assessment. I can't use my waterfront. I have a dock, but then I have to walk another 40 feet out to the water. I mow that because I don't want snakes. But have you seen it? Have you ever come by and taken a look?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Okay. So you know what I'm saying. Would you want to pay $2,400 for something when I don't even have access?
I understand what you're talking about, but it's already been talked about Hazelwood Hole and the dredging of that, and this board is not going to approve right now, knowing what we know.
I'm not asking you to, but I'm asking you, is it right for me and my other neighbors who don't have any more waterfront to pay a $2,400 assessment, now that I know that nothing is going to be done?
I think something eventually will be done.
Eventually when?
But my priority, I said it, I'm going to say it again, my priority is we're going to take care of these dams.
I know your
Before
priority.
we do anything with Hazelwood
I know
Hole,
your
and-
priority, but should I have to pay for something I won't have access to? 7 years.
I would have to ask a legal opinion on that. I don't think that we have the authority or power to change the way the tax is legislated. Do we, Hans?
The district was created in 1986 with the parcels that make up the district. That's already there. So that can't be changed. I understand what you're saying. As time has gone on, the conditions have changed your property, but the district was created by the legislature of the state of Florida, and those parcels that make up the district were created at that time, and that nobody here can change that.
And what's the law for adverse possession? Do you know that one? If I take care of it for 7 years, I'm 4 years in. I'm more than halfway there.
What are you trying to gain adverse possession of?
That whole piece of property that is out there that I'm mowing and taking care of, because nobody else will do it. Debbie Barrett told me, spray Roundup on it. That's what she told me to do. There's your guardians of the water.
Who does she need to talk to? If I understand you can't help her, who does she need to talk to have that issue?
Her county commissioner, District 5.
District 5.
Kristen. Kristen. My chiropractor. Thank you.
Okay, I don't want you to think that we're not sympathetic to you and the rest of the people that live on Hazelwood Hole. That does need to be fixed. My personal objective was to go to, with some of these other people, to the county and talk about what we've got. And I did that one time, but that's a different group, and now that I'm the chairman, I didn't feel like I should continue going to that group. I think the group has been effective. But Mike didn't say this a while ago, but I know that the district engineer and, not the district engineer, but the county engineer and another guy that was in some of the meetings they were involved in, they came out and they looked at the Hazelwood Hole situation. So they're very well aware of that. And I think that the county is going to have to pony up on that and get it taken care of. The solution is not for you to acquire the land after you've been there 7 years. The solution is get it fixed, get the water back in there. Okay?
I'm working it, I'm taking care of it because.
I understand. Okay. All right. That's. But I don't want you thinking that we just don't care. You know, that's not the point. Okay. I think that's all of those, except that we've jumped around, so we've only got one more left here. Steve Rizzo. Since even though it's not necessarily tied to the South Lake, a lot of this hadn't been anyway, so we might as well cover yours, and unless somebody else has got more that I'm not aware of.
A couple of things I wanted to talk about: the weeds. We had a plan a couple months ago to have a mechanical harvester come in. We later learned that that plan did not include the disposal of the weeds. So we pulled and refunded that money to them. Since then, the weeds have grown twofold and are almost completely filled up the Aldersgate finger. And any west wind is going to blow that weed throughout the rest of the lake, and it'll spread very quickly. Each pod left over a year, could go to about an acre, and our lake could be looking like Rodman Reservoir did about 10 years ago. So I want to know what we're going to do with the mechanical harvest of the weed. I'd like to organize the community to dispose of the weeds once plucked out of the lake. It's too much now to ask volunteers to get out there in their boats with nets and take it, where if we did that during the winter. So this time has cost us quite a bit. The second has to do with the county, and I understand that a lot of the community members should contact commissioners, but since they're dumping water, and why we gave them access to do that in the first place, I have no idea, but I know that Mark McMillan was on the board and signed the paper, the easement over to the county, and the only thing we got out of it was the county is responsible for any damage that causes, and I'm seeing nitrogen damage coming from those holding ponds. I'm seeing soot filling up the Hazelwood Hole. I'm seeing water quality, the murkiness of it, and also we're seeing, and I know they're saying that the holding ponds that empty into that South Lake did not spill into our lake during that time and help on this dam, but they might be partially liable. So I think citizens need to start contacting the county and saying, let's pony up for Hazelwood Hole, let's pony up for our water quality and for our weed control caused by their nitrogen. And then I think it's on your agenda later about the weed report, so you can answer now or when you get to that agenda item. I'm okay with that.
Alton, can I jump on that water quality one? Steve, me and another guy's not here. We pull water samples for both lakes. I've actually pulled Lake Ryan too. And we have them tested by the state, University of Florida. And we've been doing it since October of 2020, I think. So we've got a long, run of how much nitrogen, phosphorus, algae bloom is in the lake. Now, the water clarity, we checked that too. The water clarity is clear. The last time I checked it was as clear as I've ever seen it out here. Up to 10 feet in the upper lake and 12 feet in the lower lake. So as far as being murky and all, that's not the case because we got scientific numbers. I pull water samples, put them in the freezer, and take them every 3 months. So it's hard data. The reason we're doing that is because if we start getting the big, quick story, Brandon, 10 of us met in here one day 3-4 years ago and said, hey, we want to do something that when all this development starts, we want to have real numbers, not You know, it wasn't like this when I was a kid, or it was deeper when I was a kid, shallow. So we started getting, you know, samples out of the lake so we could show hard numbers. And when we submitted the first one, somebody did it before me in 2007. So we have records going back a long way. There's a big gap in between like 2007 and when I started. But we have a long record of the water quality of Lake Hasbury before the development. Now, we don't test everything. You only test a few things. But of those things we test, we can, nitrogen is one of them, we could prove definitively if they spike that something's changed and it's not Lake Hasbury.
Thank you for doing that.
Larry, do you want to comment quickly on the mechanical? Go ahead, since we're out of,
if you want me to do
way
it
out of.
now, the water house, and were you the gentleman that contacted Stone Aquatic for the, okay. Well, anyway, I had them come in the 6th tomorrow with the large machine that they have, and I was going to have them come all the way down to the dam and do the cove that's on the right, and then come up and do the cove on the left, because he told me that we canceled the first contract where I wanted him to come for 10 days and try to do every cove at once, get it out of here and be done with it. But he wanted an additional, which was not our original agreement. We had a verbal one before we got the contract, and it was going to be, what was that number, $7,000 extra once he put it on to the north dam, let it run off, dry up. He was going to charge us $7,000 to come back and clean it up. That was unacceptable. And so I asked him if he was still willing to come and do what he called a demo for $2,700 with his large harvester. And he agreed to that. He was going to do the two and then put it on the dam. When it run off, I went to a Lola meeting where I told him what the situation, the problem was, and a bunch of guys stood up and said they volunteered once it dried up. Y'all were part of it. That, you know what I'm talking about, that once it dried up, we would get together and then take it and put it up on that small piece of property we have that joins Lake Ryan Dam. It's a small piece of property. Nobody can build on it. We own it. We can dump the stuff up there. I took off and was going to Virginia up until Thursday. On my way back, I received a text from them that their harvester broke down on a job and would like to reschedule it. It was going to take them several weeks to have it repaired. And right now, I got them scheduled for coming up the 26th of this month. And so once we do those two, and then this came up, we might be able to, the only way to really solve the water house and property is to do it all at one time. You can't piecemeal it. A couple of people have tried, in the wind and current, so it just blows it right back in on top. It's going to pile up and continue to grow. And I really don't think anybody that lives on the lake wants it sprayed. I've got a contact with a bunch of other people who want to come in and spray it all. And all that's going to do is kill it, sinks to the bottom, and you got muck instead of sand for the rest of all time. Except for what microbes are already in the lake, they will eat it eventually, but God only knows how long it takes. So right now, we're scheduled again to have the harvester come in and do 2 sloughs or canals, whichever you want to call them, and put it on the dam, and then we'll clean it up. And then money-wise, the board will do its best to have them come back at a later date once we get other issues that we can pay for and get the whole lake cleaned up.
But the mechanical removal is only part of the slough. We're so far behind the 8 ball, we need help, and we get that. But unless and until neighbors are going to get in their own backyard and keep this stuff cleaned up, it's something we're always going to be fighting. And those of you who get in your backyard and you clean it up and you pull it out, and then your neighbor next to you doesn't, and we're supposed to spend tax dollars to clean their backyard when you're doing your own backyard. Everybody has got to pitch in.
Yeah, we need to be educated. The community needs to be educated that this hyacinth and the swamp lettuce or swamp cat, water lettuce, those need to get removed because they're very invasive. And I think, most people will, take it out, and I'll go a couple of houses.
And I want to educate everybody on both lakes, do not tear up and destroy the eelgrass. That's your salvation. I'm telling you, it cleans the water and it's not harmful. People, and I've had some people say, well, I don't like it around my legs when I go swimming. I don't want to be nasty, but get a swimming pool.
Okay, Larry.
Because the lake needs that grass.
Larry, I want to throw you a curveball though. After this situation on the South Dam, we should not put anything on any dam that's coming out of the lake. So this guy that's Stone Aquatics, he's going to have to dispose of that crap. He's going to have to get it out of there. He can't put it on the dams.
We've had biologists come in here, would love to get it and put it back into St. John's because they're dying for eelgrass to come back and help clean up the pollution that's in there.
I'm talking about the hyacinth and the lettuce and that sort of stuff. That guy that's Stone Aquatics, if he comes in here, he cannot put it on the dams, any of the dams.
I know.
So you're going to have to rethink that.
That's all I have at this time.
Okay. All right, I've got one more. Are there any more in the basket here, or what?
It's
all right,
a demo day. He comes in one day, and it's $2,700. For the 10 days, I had a contract for. It was how much? 26,000.
Okay, Nancy Starn, I think.
Kristen Burke today. I happened to run into her, and I know her personally. I told her about the meeting tonight, and I don't know how often we ask her to come to these meetings. I know sometimes she's really busy, but she seemed open to wanting to come to more, especially when the county is being brought into, questions are being brought up and not answered while she's physically here, and then it just goes, it never gets answered. So she's wanting to know if any of the questions that come forth today, if I get back to her on, or is someone here at the meeting speaking with her personally after this meeting, or do you wait until the next county meeting and bring everything up? That's why I'm not certain how that's being run, how you're doing that. Are you taking the questions that came here tonight, like the runoff, the spillway stuff, the sign, to her today? Or do you wait until the next county meeting? I mean, is someone here contacting her personally without going to a county meeting? Yes, that's
I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. Do we go and write down everything that anybody has to bring up, regardless of whether it's been discussed or not? We try to handle it as much as we can here in this board.
But every time you say we need to talk with the county on that, we need to get with the county on that, so is it being followed up at their next meeting with them? Or are you speaking with her personally?
Some of the things that were talked about, particularly Hazelwood Hole and Watershed and that sort of thing, is coming through this not Lambston meeting. It's a group of individuals that have formed a committee and have addressed it.
Okay.
And have been successful. And Kristen Burke has been at every one of those meetings.
Yes,
Kristen has been here.
At the one in the counties, but I mean, at these meetings, is someone, after these meetings, everything that's brought up, we need to get with them about the county, the signage over the South Lake. What about the spillway, the water that's being brought into our lakes? After these meetings, does someone go back to her personally and talk with her about the items that have been brought up, or do you wait until the next county meeting and talk to her?
No. We take care of, my opinion is we take care of what we can take care of. Okay. Most of the things that have been brought up tonight have already been addressed, and people don't like the answer. So I'm not going to go to a county meeting and bring up something that's already been discussed multiple times. Okay. I'm not going to do it. You can go ahead.
Nancy, you make a good point, and like I say, she comes to all the meetings that the unaffiliated
Right.
group, she
Yes,
goes to all
yes,
those.
yes.
And I don't think it's unreasonable for us to like earmark certain questions that come up and have our district secretary send it to her. You know,
She
that's-
asked me to let her know.
Yeah, that'd be easy.
Personally, to call her.
Yeah.
And let her know if there's something.
That'd be easy.
So I didn't want to step on somebody's toes here and be going and doing that, but, I mean, she personally asked me today. And that's my question was, I don't want to go bombard her if perhaps Mike is or you are with everything that happened today. And then, yeah, so I mean, I don't have a problem with that. And if she told me to just let her know the signage and things like that, so.
I think to Hans's point from earlier, the more residents that she hears from, I think the better.
And also, I think if we're going to say we need to be contacting her, can we put out the email address? Can we put it up here? Does somebody have it that you can give to us today, that we can email her with our concerns and stuff? I mean, I looked it up. All I saw was Kristen Burke, Clay County. I don't know if it's .org.
I don't see why we couldn't put it on the website. Yeah.
Because she's
Put
our
it on the
district
website under
representative,
general
right?
information.
So why?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. Is she on the website? Okay, all right. I was trying to pull it up individually, but I will get back to her on the things that were discussed tonight. And then, Mike, I know you're dealing with her with other stuff and whatnot, but she just asked me. But I know she would be willing to come to these meetings if things like this, the South Lake, she's well aware of what's going on here. But she probably would have been okay with coming tonight and being able to at least give us some leadway as to what the county is or isn't going to do, or take that back to the county right away. So anyhow, that's all I'm saying. I'll get back to her and as much as I can, so to let her know.
Okay, that's fine. And I'm not trying to come across like we don't talk.
No, I
Don't
didn't
want to
say
talk
that
to
at all.
her,
I
that
just-
sort of thing. I mean,
yeah.
we
I just didn't know if we waited until the county meetings and brought things up to her.
there's no official, and I'd say it goes from the county commissioners this way too. There's no official plan that says, Alton, you go to the county commissioners meeting on a certain basis, certain date, and you present certain things. We don't have anything set up like that. They don't have anything set up like that. Kristen has been here sporadically for some meetings. I know she was at the annual meeting for the Lola the other day, I think in the middle of May. And she fielded some questions from the audience then. But most of the things that I've heard tonight, like Hazelwood Hole and all of that,
I know
they're very well aware of all that. If they say they're not, then they're crazy,
But then when they did bring out that they refused the sign on the south, they refused the same sign that's on the North Lake.
That was the Department of Transportation based on what the county engineer told me.
Okay.
And the county, and the Department of Transportation is the one that
Okay.
looked at the
So
weight limits and approved that one.
About that.
Yeah. You be careful though on things, because find out what a fire truck weighs and see if it meets the requirements for the dam.
And then
77,000
also
pounds.
on the eelgrass you were talking about and all the things we're not supposed to pull or not pull or whatever, is there something we can put up on the website that shows what this stuff is? Because I looked it up. I may have pulled it. I have no idea. I mean, I'm in there shoveling, things right now because it's lowered, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm pulling up. But, I mean, that's just if it's that important that we don't do it.
Nancy, that's not unreasonable. I think we can handle that.
Okay.
Because all you got to do is Google it. I just Googled water
I
lettuce.
know, but I'm
Takes
looking
5
at it and
seconds.
I'm going,
Yeah, we can do
I don't know
that.
if I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can do
All
that.
right, thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to take one more question because that's all that I have up here. And then we're going to move into the budget discussion because we've got to get the budget discussion finished tonight, unless we want to have another special meeting for it. I'm not interested in that personally. Anyway, Joy had a question, was disposal plans for the mechanical harvesting.
Thank you.
I think.
Yeah, quick question. So Larry and I spoke about this at length regarding the disposal of what was originally a 10-day contract for mechanical harvesting of the weeds. Now I understand we've shortened to 1 day, which is great. Let's take a look at what they can do. but what are the disposal plans for that day?
That day, it goes on to the North Dam. For grading 6 to 8 weeks, it'll dry up. If y'all could have been with me today, she's not here. Carol Weisenberger hired a group of guys to come in. She thought that she would be able to get it out of the lake, put it on her own property, have it dry up. And so she did that and piled it up to about my chest high. And we got a lot of west wind. Well, all of it that was out in the mouth of it is right back down where she did all her work. That's why I said, when we do this, we have to get rid of all of it.
Larry, if I can interrupt, and I don't know whether you can hear me or not. I don't have my hearing aids. Do you have yours?
No.
All right, then you probably.
I didn't.
Joy.
I didn't wear them.
Help me make sure he
Sir,
understood.
I knew that he didn't hear you, hence the reason for my question.
Well, make sure that he understands.
Okay, so
Larry, what I'm saying is that we cannot.
What I wanted to realize, it goes on the North Dam. It takes 6 to 8 weeks.
It cannot go on the North Dam. It cannot. It cannot go on the North Dam.
You can't put it on the North Dam.
Wow.
No, because we've already got enough dam problems, and that would.
We have enough dam problems.
Yeah, well, we're not going to do it.
Okay, so this was
Well, since when did that take place? We had a contract.
Since the South Dam failed, and we've said no, we're not going to do it.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord, yes.
This was the topic of conversation that I had with Larry, and I had great concern because this is a business that I've looked into personally, doing that exact business, and I know that those weeds are extremely heavy, and that vegetation is extremely heavy. So placing that vegetation on a compromised dam would not be my recommendation. However, I'm not the expert, and I think that one of our potential locations, if we could accommodate it, would be putting it onto that small strip of land that lies between Lake Ryan and, not the dam, the land that is beside the dam between Ryan and the North Lake. That would be my recommendation. I know there's a cost associated with it. I understand we would have to get a dump truck. You would have to put it in there. It would have to be transported. I bring it up because I would advise that rather than putting it. I heard you say we're not putting anything on the North Dam. I live with a hard of hearing person, so I know that communication can be a challenge sometimes. And I mean, hearing aids or not, sometimes we're all hard of hearing. So I just wanted to make sure that that was something that that you all handle and address. I know that's outside of my scope, but something for sure, if we're going to have it done in the next few weeks, that we have a plan of action. Thank you.
Yeah, we.
Possible to put it where?
Okay. I said that was the last question. That we've got to move on. So I hope that you understand that we can't be here all night.
Well, hell, I'd have had to call him and cancel the contract anyway.
Can we take a 2-minute break while people, leave?
Absolutely, Diane. That's a good idea. Thank you.
I don't think we're done yet, guys. Put your chair back.
We're not done.
All right, 1 minute warning. Let's get this show on the road.
Tim came and got his check.
All right, can we reconvene the meeting? Where's Larry at?
The meeting outside.
We gotta have Larry. We need him for a quorum, don't we?
Okay. We're tabling.
Avoid that.
We're just gonna table it. We're gonna table it.
Whatever.
Okay.
He ain't here. So.
Well, I understand that, but it's stuff that's been pending forever.
No, somebody else is going to have to bring it up again for it to get on the official.
Okay.
You want me to make that motion? Or you want to go around?
Look, what I want to do is I want to go back to the repair of this South Lake Dam, and we got strong recommendations from the manufacturer of the block. He deals with a lot of contractors. We met with this contractor. Hanson was there. There's nobody that's not favorably impressed with this guy, and I think we've got to move forward with him personally.
I make a motion that we accept. Well, we don't have a bid yet.
We don't have a bid yet, but we've got a ballpark. So
Can we accept it without a bid?
you
You only got signing per, which is up at 35,000. This is going to be.
Yeah, there's a carve out for emergency situations.
I'm expecting to talk to him tomorrow. So I would say we could make a motion to accept it up to some amount of money. Can we do that?
I make a motion that we accept Thompson Construction, Marine Construction, whatever the official name is, to do the South Dam spillway repair. Up to $250,000.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we got a motion, we got a second, up to 250,000. There have been numbers floating around, anywhere from $10,000. Not gonna say who said that, but he ain't here no more. So I shouldn't have said that either. But there's not been a number less than 200,000 floated around. Really. And it's, you start doing some calculations. The guy said you got at least 6 people. You got them for 6 weeks. They're going to work 10 hours a day. And these guys are not just your normal $15 an hour labor guys. So when you start doing that and you got the per diems and all that goes along with it, then I think.
Off the record, this is probably one of the better boards I've seen in Lake Asbury, and I've been here 30 years. Off the record, my husband did not pick out that articulating block. Okay? I was there for the whole process.
Who's your husband? I'm sorry.
Tom Petrucci.
The project manager.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't know how to build a dam.
We're not
Mike
looking-
felt that we should get these. They're less expensive and they're just as nice and they'll look better.
We're not going there. We're
I
moving
just
forward.
want to clear his name.
Okay. We
You
appreciate
guys do a
it.
great job. Lots of luck to you.
Thank you, Cheryl. All right. So Diane, there's been a number of calculations. Some of them go up to 300. So, but I think Mike's comment is, I mean, hopefully we can do better than that.
And part of my reasoning too is if we don't pass it, then the people on South Lake can be another month. Instead of 9 weeks, it's going to be 13 weeks. So we won't meet again for a month.
We're right in the middle of the darn hurricane. That's the other thing. That's
Unless it's an
important.
emergency
It's really
situation, but I'd rather go ahead and
important.
pass it.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I don't like it, but.
In casual talk, did Hanson or
Yeah, the concern too is, there was one gentleman offered his contacts and other companies, but we can't waste time shopping this because you'll never get done. No, this is very specialized work. Yeah.
No.
And the other thing people don't like to talk about is there's a lot of liability working on dams like this. And these companies, that's what they do, is they work on dams and they understand the liability. So we need to move forward.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Nope.
All right. We got a motion.
Your dollar amount, or do you want to leave it as it is?
I'll redo my,
Restate your dollar amount?
can I restate it from 200 to 275?
Now, do we have any more discussion?
Dollar still second?
I'll second it, yeah.
Any more discussion? No. All right.
Do we have a vote, please?
What?
There's no more discussion, we need a vote.
Well, I thought I was the one doing that.
You're too slow tonight, come on.
I don't think so. I'm still the chairman. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it passes. And so I will be in contact with that guy. Frankly, Jerry, the one thing that they've got to watch, they're not the designer of this dam. All right? So they're not going to do anything that's going to put them in liability on having to take the responsibility for somebody else's engineering and job. They can look at it, they can tell us what they think and all that stuff, and they've done that. They're the ones that researched with the block manufacturer and said, hey, look, this is what we got. What do you think happened? What do you think we need to do? Then they went on and developed into who could do it. And when I talked to Buck Thompson on a Saturday, he had already had a number of conversations with the manufacturer of the block. The block are manufactured in Bunnell, is that the name of it? Right down south of here. And so they're available. All the materials available. His crews will be available soon. So it looks like it could slide right in there where, the contractor availability is not, according to Hanson's, not readily available either. So it's almost like we've got a fit timing wise that we need to try to make it work. So Hanson actually gave a number that was originally higher, but they were talking about doing it differently too, though. And once this guy from St. John Water Management District said, no, you're not going to do any hydraulic pumping like you try to level a house up or something. They said, well, first off, the block guy said that won't work. And secondly, the Hanson says that would be the most expensive way to go about it too. So. Yeah, so it sounds like a simple process, but it's really not, Okay, so we've approved that. And the open items are, does anybody have the workman's comp agreement that would work for this? Or has Carol got it? You remember we're always getting a workman's comp. Somebody says, submit your workman's comp deal. It gets submitted, and then we reject it for some reason. It doesn't have our name on it or something. I don't know. So do any of y'all remember? Have you seen any?
I haven't, but moving forward, is that something like Shirley, being she's the gatherer of information, shouldn't she have all that? Yeah? If Carol has it now, Carol should give it to her.
Yeah,
I have a copy of all that we've received from the different companies.
from the contractors? Well, then look at them and see if you can find one that's got our name listed somewhere on it, not just as mailed it to LAMSBD, but that shows that we're listed as coverage some way. I'm not sure how it works.
They'll look at
You'll need
Insurance certificate.
it.
Yeah, but there
You'll,
was.
you'll just want proof of their insurance, and then they can get a certificate of additional insured naming the district under their policy.
Well, there was some problem with the mowing certificate, and Carol flagged it and fixed it. So I would recommend starting with that one, but I'm the last guy I don't even know if I can spell insurance.
Well, I just don't want that to be a holdup on moving. Let's move. We're going to move. Let's move. Okay, so that's it for the emergency situation. We finally got there. It's only, golly, 9 o'clock. Okay, so the only thing we got left to discuss tonight is the budget. And I sent y'all, I don't want to dominate this conversation by any means, but I sent y'all some notes on what I found on a couple of years ago when you tried to define what these things were. And the one that I remember, I didn't remember, I knew there was something goofy, but the infrastructure, which is 5630 on here, that number came to, it says to be determined based on the beginning cash balance. And that number was generated so that as you're a non-for-profit organization, so you got a starting balance and you got an ending balance, and all it does is balance the stuff. So it's a fabricated number just to do that. So that was, and now we're going to have to say, okay, pick a number. So I'd say $200,000 or $250,000 that's going to have to be accumulated for bills from now till the end of September. So we already had talked about that, about putting $105,000, I think was the number, in for Hanson. And now we're going to have to put 200 or 250, whichever you want to do, or 275, whatever. Put another number in there that we didn't have before. And then you take the normal bills that we're going to have between now and the end of September and take that off of, because we're not going to have any more income except for the $4,800 a month of interest. We're not going to have any more. I think we're done with the tax thing, because there was $15,000 this month, and I think we only had $30,000 or so when Tom was still here. So
once they start collecting it again, what is that, when early pay, November, when you can pay, how long does it take them to send us the funds?
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's quick,
the funds
but it's going to be
will
into
pick
the
back
next.
up.
It's going to be into the next fiscal year
Sure.
too, though.
So funds won't pick back up until November.
Right.
Yeah, so basically we have no more income, other than interest earned $4,000 a month.
All right. So, do you have, is that on the right PowerPoint then?
Yeah, so this is the numbers we talked about last meeting, or special meeting. And this is a real live spreadsheet, so I can click on things and it'll tell you what sums, and it's pretty much automated. So this is our balance we're carrying forward. This is the assessments we're expecting next year, I guess. There's our Clay County assessment, $36,000. Is that what that is?
It's what they charge us for
that's
handling it.
discounts,
Yeah,
penalties.
it was a
That's
straight
Clay County
calculation.
assessment,
Yeah.
2%
Right.
that they take. Interest income, I'm showing the 4.5% interest and 90,000. I'm not sure I know what this 29.99 is, less 5% per FS, da-da-da-da. I don't know what that exactly is.
Tom, you know that 4.5% is not locked in stone either. You know that 4.5% may change.
The 4.5%?
Yeah.
That's the money market income we're getting from.
Right, that's based on some number.
That's based on what the Fed does.
Right. I'm saying it could go
Yeah,
down.
that may move up, it may move down, so that's a dynamic number. This is not a fixed number by any stretch. It's also going to change based on the principal that we have in our bank account as the year proceeds. So, and we can circle back on that, Alton, in the interest of time. So we have revenues approaching 2.1 million, based on carrying forward the 998 plus the new taxation. And so that, and then expenses, this is pretty well all fixed here as far as salaries and taxes and insurances and things that we know we have to have.
Hans says his number was generous.
Yeah, I mean.
But we may be throwing more stuff at you.
Well, yeah, there's.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to go up, and I mean, last year it was between 40 and 50, and this year it's on pace for the same.
I mean, if I make this 60, is that?
I'd leave it 70. We had it at 70, leave it at 70. We don't even think we're trying to whittle on it.
Okay. Make it. So that's that. This is all pretty much no change as well.
Just for the people in the audience, it's some of these numbers that we're guessing. We don't know what, we don't know what the audit fees want to be for.
Yeah, well, like the audit. So like Mary Ann, this audit fee, it was 10,001 something this year. We can only assume it's going up. We're not.
Yeah, and CPI generally right now is running about 6.7%, so I mean, if you put 6.7% on everything, you can assume that's going to be the cost increase for all business going forward.
So this is where we're at, totaling audit and accounting. Other contractor services, this is, I noticed this, to me, this is here, 22,000, that's Clay County 2%, but we also have it up here, unless I have a mistake. So I don't know what 2912 is.
It's a discount, it's only 129.12 is up in the top, estimated revenues. And it's a negative on this thing. So that was, yeah, so that's the fee that they're charging, the penalty, the same penalty, but what's the other one, where you got it again?
We've got it again down.
Where is it?
Hang on, I'm getting back to it. 5341.
The county's not, but they're tax exempt also. Which county is tax and tax?
5341 is tax collection fee, and it's only,
But I'm not a lawyer.
it was only $5,100 there, and it was,
And we did ask.
But was that, is this from a 600-year assessment?
no, yeah, it was, 600,
So yeah, so it's going to be 4 times that.
5,100 versus,
So it's not too far off if we leave it at 22,000, but we need to get rid of it in one of the 2 places.
no, it's listed both places. One of them's a negative number and one of them's a positive number.
Okay,
One of them's a credit.
so this one's going to be,
I mean, a payment of 9,000, and it says discounts and penalties, $9,000. This was not current. But then on the $9,000 year, you had a tax collection fee of $5,100. So that was
Is it possible that's the fee they charge us to post for us to be on the election ballot? You know, if you're on the ballot, you got to pay the county. Unless, remember this year, we were out of cycle, and if you're out of cycle, you got to pay a fee, and if you're in cycle, you don't.
I don't think so.
The collection fee is 2%.
Yeah, we got
So
that.
it would be 21,000 something.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what this 2912 is.
So okay, so that's a negative on 2912. And it's a positive down here, or is it, do I have it backwards? Not, I'm sorry for making you dizzy.
I'm getting motion sickness.
Looking for the photos.
Yeah, here.
Just for the audience sake, what makes this more difficult is we don't have an accountant now. So we can't like say, ask them because he quit. So we got to kind of like go through last year's and figure out what's 2912. So, right.
It's 3.3% on that one. So that's,
I wasn't on the board last year, but Alton tried to take some notes last year, and that's what he's looking for now.
that showed the discounts at 3.3% of the special assessment total.
I think it's only 2%. Yeah. Well, that's in the I mean, so this should be a 2% only. And there was discussion with the clay collections people. They said they cannot change it. So I'm not sure who had that discussion. Was that you?
I think it was Ms. Wantage. Janet.
Yeah, Janet.
That one is 1.9 is what I just calculated there on that.
Okay.
On that, so that 2% is probably right. On what was it called? 5341.
5341. Yeah, 22,000.
That's right at 2%.
Okay, so that's trivial. That's not gonna. That's just a few dollars one way or the other. So we're gonna move on.
Yeah. Go.
So webmaster support. That's about the same. And we'll talk about that in a few more minutes. So then we come down here, this not important, not important, not important. So now this money we just said we're going to spend, where does it go? Is it going to go here in 24601?
No, you can't put it there. You got to put it up, go up to the top because it's going to be spent before the.
So it's going to get spent.
September. So you're going to have to put
somewhere here.
No, go all the way to the top.
Right here.
Beginning balance, forward balance. That's going to have to
Okay.
be adjusted down by whatever that amount is. Because it's going to be in this year. It's going to be in this fiscal year. We had 1,265,000. So that means that
Well, your limit was 275, correct, Mike?
yeah.
And that's going to be a negative.
Yeah. So that's going to take that sucker down to 700,000.
Yeah, but now I got to fix this here. Bear with me. So I got to change him to B2. Yeah, that's probably the wrong way to do it. So this is going to be
723.
okay.
Well, in
That
the
takes
budget,
us
in
to
the budget year we were in, going into this year, we had 460,000 in there as carry forward.
I can't hear you, but this is reducing this number.
And so then you should not have a sum at the bottom
Okay, so, yeah, so we're not doing it twice, yeah. My bad. Hmm. I think it's right. P3, something there. Because this was a bigger number and this was a bigger number. Should be okay. Let me go back to here. So here's where we talked about that. None of this, there's no other big expenses, I guess, other than the, are we going to add, I think you said 105,000 for Hanson?
But that's gonna be in the, that was already in that number.
It was already in the other
In the
number.
top number that
Okay.
we're talking about.
Okay. So total expenses here goes all the way. So this number is a sum of these colored cells as you work your way back up from each category. $842, so capital outlay, infrastructure.
Your infrastructure is gonna be a
Yeah.
fill-in though, it's gonna be a, so it's gonna be whatever it takes to make the beginning balance and the ending balance balance. So if you're at whatever it was, 700,000, and you're gonna be at
We're at
1.8.
723.
That's gonna be 1.1 million, isn't it?
So we net out zero.
So it nets out zero.
So you might want to take that 17,000 out for mental, or I don't know what the fence cost, but we already fixed the bulkhead on the side. Not 17,000.
Well, what's this 999? Because there's a note already here balancing to bring it into balance. Is that where it goes? Do you have anything in 999 on your old?
999. It says 5% max. That ain't nothing, dollar-wise. It was.
All right. So we want it in 5,600?
5630, I think. 5600, whatever it is.
Okay.
No, 5630.
5,630. So
5630 was what the.
what's the new number?
It's gonna be whatever it takes to get the.
So we can't carry a balance forward from year to year? We would have to from a.
You do, but the way you do it is you add, you gotta make the infrastructure number, make the numbers balance.
791, 490, so what is that line?
I think the reason you do the 5% contingency is because that way you have the flexibility to put it where you put it. You got it in infrastructure, you got to use it for infrastructure.
So do I understand that we want this number to be zero? Is that what you're telling me?
No, it's gotta
It
be.
makes no sense.
It's gotta be, that's 475, and that was,
You give us an update on the accounting search? Did you already do that? I forgot.
It was published on Thursday, in Labor Day. I emailed out a couple of CPA firms I know. I sent it to 3. One replied to me and said they don't do government work. I haven't heard back from them. So it's in the works. We'll just see when we get it. I'm sure we'll get it.
I would think we need this 5630 to move from zero. There's got to be something in there. What do you have for 5630?
36,000, and it was only the current monthly fees that
Okay.
that you were drawing. But now when you go into the next year, the 2022, we had engineering fees. I think it was included in professional services. Carrying on to, see, it didn't, this thing didn't even have a line item for that, but this has come out of all of it that we just got today. So, what is this one? Let's see what this one is. 460. Where is it? There it is. It was 170. It was 170. Year to date. So that is charging some of the. We had $200-something thousand in pension, and we charged 170. That makes sense because we had we're going to owe Hanson 50-something thousand next month, and that's going to bring it.
You accounted for that at the time.
So we got that, and you're probably right. That was engineering fees is going to be
260.
Hey, thanks.
Hi, Brandon.
And then we had a 5630 is.
Because right now we have 569
That was in engineering. But
engineering
that was,
fees.
Yeah, that. And I guess it doesn't matter probably where it goes from a coding standpoint. I mean, from a dollar standpoint, it's going to be there. To me, it's is it engineering fees or does it go into capital? Probably already go into capital dollars because that's going to be part of by then.
Yeah, I
we'll
would
have
think-
a permit, and so that'll be part of the project cost, part of the capital project
Yeah.
cost, the way I see it. But
'Cause this
leave
is-
it there. It's all right.
Yeah, it's still an outflow, but
Yeah.
it's not an operating expense, it's a capital expense.
Right.
But in our case,
In our
we're
case,
not
we don't
taking
depreciate.
depreciation,
We're
so
not
it doesn't
depreciating
matter.
that way either, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're not a profit-driven organization.
So if it's in the wrong category, it's still all right.
There's an explanation there to the right.
Yeah, we can put some,
Yeah, that's how we arrived at that. We said the north end was 5 million something, and,
yeah.
and the engineering cost would be 10%.
Yeah, and this is all estimates because we're years, 2 or 3 more years out, so. Well, so that's, I don't know, these other comments were just collected when it was a Google spreadsheet, so.
That's it. Sorry, more, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, so adjusted for all expense, yeah, I don't see any problem carrying the balance forward into the next fiscal year. Because we've got to have a bankroll.
What was our starting point? If you go back to the top, that's 791 at the bottom.
723 once we spend the spillway money. So we're order of magnitude, we're about the same
Yeah.
going into the year.
Yeah, I think you gotta do some tweaking to make them exactly the same, beginning balance and ending balance. Otherwise, you're showing that you've either made or lost money.
Well,
So-
I wouldn't say made or lost money because we have the right to accrue larger reserves based
Yeah,
on
but-
future activities.
But I think if we looked back, I think what we would find is that fund balance beginning carry forward, and then that ending fund balance had to be the same number.
Well, we can make them the same. What is it? 723?
Of course, I'm sitting there looking at the audited thing that she just gave us today. And we have a capital outlay budget of $508,000, and we have actual expenditures of 0. So we have a variance of $508,000.
Yeah, I don't think it
Professional
matters.
services, we've got $56,000 budgeted, and we spent $126, so we're over on that one by $70,000. So,
I don't think it matters.
all right.
But I'm
I
only
mean, we're close anyway, 791 versus whatever that other
Yeah.
number was. So, we need to,
And it says right here, potential balance forward. Is that how it's titled in the other older documents? Potential means,
now it says total appropriated expenditures and ending balance. And that was 722,800 there. If you go back to the page before, it was not.
I think it'll fly. I see
Yeah, it was
wings.
722,800, so it did balance. That appropriated expenditures and ending balance, 722,800 was what it was in 2020 and 2021. And the total estimated revenues and balances forward was identically the same number. So one of these columns in here, they fudged a number to make it balance.
Okay, so we just want it to go to
We want it to go to whatever that top number was.
723.
Right.
All
So
right.
tweak something and make it go to 723. Don't, you didn't hear that, did you? Are you an accountant?
My husband's in finance, you can put part of the money in that reserve at the bottom, that's what the contingency, I believe, is for at the bottom, that's only 5%
So it's 723.
Yeah, you seem to know.
But is it contingency based on your whole budget? If it's contingency on your whole amount of revenue that you're going to take in, then that's an extra $50,000. Then you can go off of one fund,
So you're looking for 36,000, Jerry, to balance?
Contingency.
$68,490, right? Let me check myself here. $68,490.
Yeah, so. This is Tom's, this is Tom's number. This is
Now I gotta fix the spreadsheet. Let me put it somewhere else.
Okay, you got it?
I don't see no fish money.
What fish money?
$148,490.
Carp? what's his name? But you know,
as you remember, the last one pulled it out.
Habitat,
yeah, but for his questions and considerations, and I was trying to get finished, but I said CARP, you know, our chemical treatment, that's something that, you know, I don't know what we're gonna wind up doing. We didn't address getting any money coming in from grants or appropriation request or a loan, but I don't think we'll be ready to do that right now either, unless Hanson comes through with
well, we know we're not gonna be doing any dredging. Let's take 30,000 and move it down to fish.
No, you better leave that dredging alone.
Okay.
That's a political ball, everybody.
All right.
You're going to do it, but
All right.
and just because you put stuff in the budget don't mean that's okay to spend.
All right, let's carrying forward 723. Carrying out the back door to my car, 723.
It sounds okay to me. I don't know about you guys.
It sounds fine to me. You know, I've never been in like a
motion.
non-profit budget because this is like a weird budget. I've done a lot of budgets, but I've never done one where they have to zero out. You know, I've always been in a for-profit, so these lines at the bottom, they don't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I've just never dealt with them.
Well,
I've never seen this have to be the same. That makes no sense to me.
well, I'm on another board and they won't allow that to happen, but they're stupid.
We need a motion?
Well, I didn't say one more than one. Boy, thank you.
No, we're not going home, but please, we need a motion, I think.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the tentative budget.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Nobody opposed? So it carries. So now you got to get that to Shirley some way or another so she can get it. Somebody's got to get it posted on the website if we can even do that now, because we
No, that's the
lost
next
that.
topic of business. Can I have the floor?
Well, yeah, but just let's remember that that's got to be done. And then the audit, we've got two things that have got to be done to finish the audit stuff. There's two different forms that got to be filled out and submitted to state. That thing's kicking that's kicking me, Jerry. You could tell by my Excel spreadsheet and pen and pencil, couldn't you? It worked out.
So I've been trying to collect this, and I think Shirley's doing a better job, but here's an annual calendar of stuff that's got to happen. June 1st, budget to the website, budget to Clay County, and then we've got to do this audit stuff too. It goes to two places. It goes to DFS and Auditor General. So we need a CPA. We need somebody who knows what to do here.
Well, and Mary Ann pointed those out to me, and there's some information in that green book down there that Tom gave me that does have some kind of ways to find it. One of them's online, and so if we have trouble, since we haven't paid Mary Ann yet,
So right here, link annual.
she'll probably help us do
We
it.
got to link that report to the DFS website.
Yeah, okay.
And I think
And
there's some file electronically per handbook. I think that's different because that's at the end of the month.
Well, okay. It's at the end of the month, and one of them's. She said you need to get them both done pretty quick. So
Yeah, there's a busy month right here. So,
okay.
can I make a motion?
To do what? Sure, you can make a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we hire Biz, I even forgot their name already.
Oh, I got it here somewhere.
Bizaccounts.com.
Bizsmart.
Bizsmart.com,
Web.com.
yeah. Principal owner is Ray,
Ray.
whatever his check is.
Dominique.
His His hourly rate is $39 an hour, and that's consistent with what Darla was charging us. And he, yeah, this replaces Darla. I called this guy out of nowhere based on input from my daughter's friend, and he was all over it. The guy's been nothing but cooperative. I also inquired to the web person that handles the Lake Lot website, and she's given me non-coherent answers and very big numbers. So I'm recommending that we go with these people, with Ray. And Mike, you can
I can comment on this because Tom was out of pocket, so I got this guy's information. He worked with me and posted all the alerts and all that stuff. I even called him. I'm sitting in Salsas, and I look on the webpage, and I don't like where it's positioned. I call him and say, hey, can you move it to the top of the page? He said, no problem. Next thing you look at your phone and move it on. So he's been very cooperative. He didn't know me from Adam, so he's really
and he
easy to work with.
He's local here to Middleburg, too. He's not somewhere far, far away. So that's my motion.
Okay, motion, second?
I second it.
Mike seconds. Any more discussion?
Approximately how many hours will we be requiring of him at $39 an hour?
Just so others know, we battled for one more minute to get to the website.
So we used $4,500 last year, and you anticipate it being in that same ballpark? Thank you.
Or maybe just plant identification or something. Be something simple, yeah. And I wouldn't mind, excuse me, Tom, I wouldn't mind putting some, identifying plants, put a link to it or whatever, be something simple. And I wouldn't mind putting our FWC permit on there. Because it states in there all the rules about the weeds what you can do with your weeds. It's part of the permit. So I don't know.
That would be very helpful for
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because it states in here what you can and can't do. Like you can't strip your whole property.